Francis Atwoli has crossed the floor, and he has left it quite clear that henceforth he is working with President William Samoei Ruto. Kenyans remember Francis Atwoli as one of the most combative critics of William Ruto during the campaign. It is therefore not a wonder, not a surprise that Kenyans are wondering what could have happened. How could Atwoli desert Raila Odinga, his brother-in-law, his bosom friend? In fact, if you are to look at the people who supported Raila Odinga, Atwoli's name tops the list. So much so that his Ildamat home in Kajiado became the command center of the Raila Odinga campaign. Anybody who is who and who was who in the Raila campaign was seen in Kajiado, not once, not twice, many times. Certain weekends there will be helicopter after helicopter landing in his palatial Kajiado home. And therefore it comes as a big surprise to many Kenyans when of all people, Francis Atwoli of the Shenzi fame deserts his brother-in-law Raila Odinga. In the recent past, Atwoli has said very nice things about William Ruto. The most recent, of course, which was yesterday, during the graduation ceremony of Masinde Muliro University, MUST, he sat close to the president. A day before that, in a function attended by the president has gone as far as apologizing to Francis Atwoli. And Atwoli, on his part, had said many nice things about the president. Kenyans have asked me, many Kenyans have called me, texted me, many Kenyans have met in the streets of Nairobi, Western Kenya, and many of the places I've been to. My fans and followers are all asking me, tell us, Manyora, what is your reading of the Atwoli move? And therefore, my humble duty to tell my followers, my fans, what I think could be happening. There are various ways of looking at this Atwoli move. Number one, Atwoli is a trade union leader of note, of many years. Atwoli, perhaps better than any other trade union leader in this country, knows well, and he has said as much, not once, not twice, that a trade union must work with the government of the day. A trade union delivers to workers through a tripartite agreement. That English word is a little difficult. Where we have employer, the worker, and the government. And therefore the government is an important link if a trade union leader has to deliver to his membership. And therefore we can understand that Atwoli working with Ruto is merely because he's aware, he's pragmatic, that if you are going to be the leader of the trade movement in Kenya for 5 years, and the president remains your enemy, you'll be doing great disservice to your members. And it's not surprising. Wilson Sossion of NAT took on Uhuru Kenyatta head on, and NAT paid for the consequences. Indeed, so bad was it for NAT that at some point the Teacher Service Commission refused to deduct membership dues that runs into tens of millions of shillings per month for NAT. The war continued until Sossion was edged out of the leadership of NAT. We remember him shedding tears as he bid teachers farewell. And it's not just in Kenya. When Margaret Thatcher came to power in the UK, the trade union movement was so strong, they tried to take her on. She crushed them. To this day, the trade movement in UK has never recovered. It's so bad was it that even the Labour Party has had to change its policies and move from left, perhaps to center left, heading towards right. And therefore, it's not surprising that a shrewd trade union leader like Atwoli would realize that if you allow the hatred between you and the Ruto to spill over into the Ruto regime for the next 5 years, you'll be doing great disservice to the trade union movement in this country. And for that reason, I can explain Atwoli's move strictly in terms of being pragmatic as a leader in that direction. And Atwoli is a trade union leader, not just local in this country. He was head of the East African trade movement in East Africa. He relinquished that. He's the top man in Africa, recently elected vice president of the international trade movement, whatever it's called, union something. And he's among many other things in that, and a council member of ILO. And therefore you would understand the danger you location the workers of this country if you opposed the government of the day. And that we understand that. But there are other reasons. Now these are political reasons. From my own understanding, I do understand that, for example, Moses Masika Wetangula, Speaker of the National Assembly, Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, Prime Cabinet Secretary, had a duty to deliver 70% of the Western vote, of the Luhya vote to William Ruto. Unfortunately, they got just about 30, 32, 35%. And save for Bungoma, Raila Odinga eclipsed them through the entire province, the former Western province. And therefore, in trying to understand this move, one must also ask themselves, who was the key figure, the key stumbling block that made it difficult for Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, from Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, to help Ruto get 70%? The answer is simple. Top on the list of the leaders that made it difficult for Mudavadi and Wetangula to deliver Western to Ruto was Francis Atwoli. And therefore, it's a no-brainer that if you want to capture Western for the purposes of a smooth ride between now and 27, if you are the president, and for the purposes of a clear election strategy of 2027, you need Western Kenya. And the man to go to would be none other than Francis Atwoli and Wycliffe Ambeza Oparanya. Of late, we have seen Oparanya coming out to say he will not support Raila. Although he has denied it, his body language, from my own reading, seems to indicate that he's just a step or two behind Atwoli. And therefore, once you have Ambeza Oparanya, you have Francis Atwoli, the 70% you wouldn't have achieved in 2022, you would achieve in 2027. And therefore, the overtures would naturally come from Mudavadi and Wetangula. Although, again, we must accept that Atwoli, having been that vocal on the side of Raila and saying a number of bad things against the president, against Mudavadi, against Wetangula, against other Western leaders, he would also be concerned. How safe am I? How safe is my job as a trade union leader? Although I'm an international figure, and anybody touching me in that arena will have to reckon with the international community in the manner in which we had to reckon with FIFA when we touched KFF, whatever it's called, the football ball in this country. He would still nevertheless be concerned that he cannot exist in an environment where people still remember the bad things he said about those in power. And therefore, the meeting between Mudavadi, Wetangula and Atwoli could be similar and likened to the one between Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta for the handshake. You can't say it's Uhuru who looked for Raila, neither can you say it's Raila who looked for Uhuru. Walisema walitafutana, na kwa hivyo hawa wanaweza kuwa walitafutana, kila mmoja akimtaka mwingine manake anamhitaji. That's another way of interpreting the Atwoli move. Secondly, at the political level, it is also quite possible that Atwoli, remembering the things he said about President William Ruto, would have been anxious, would have wanted to send feelers, to feel what the president is thinking about it. He could even have initiated moves to be able to reach the president. And many of us would do the same if we were in his shoes. And therefore, it's possible that Atwoli has reached out to the president, and the president has calculated and seen it is a gain more than a loss, a plus more than a minus, and he has opened his arms and said the nice things he said about Atwoli. It is equally possible that the president himself, anxious, eager, and wanting to ensure he gets the entire Western, could also reach out to people like Atwoli through other forces like Mudavadi and others. This is not far-fetched, considering the talk in the country that come 2027, President William Samoei Ruto cannot, as of now and in future, be sure of the Kikuyu support. What more natural way, in the event the Kikuyu slide out of your fingers, than to get the entire Luhya nation? And that's how then Atwoli comes in handy. And one could easily say that it's also possible, through avatars, through proxies, it is also possible the president could reach out to Atwoli. And to the politics now of Western, it is also true, the leaders of Western province would know that if they are going to benefit from this government, they had better go as one, leaving nobody out, so that the president knows he is delivering to Western Kenya because the Western region is united. And what better way of showing that Mlembe unity than bringing the most fierce critic of the president on board to be part of Musalia and Wetangula in speaking for the Western region. But there is more politics. And this I must point out to our friends, including my friend Atwoli. Could you be playing in the hands of William Samoei Ruto? It's quite possible. It's quite possible that the president could use Atwoli to neutralize and dilute Wetangula and Mudavadi. Once that has happened, he knows the region is his for the taking, kwa bei ya jioni. It's also possible the president could bring Atwoli on board so that he could put Wetangula and Mudavadi in check, knowing very well that he has a bigger catch than them. And therefore my advice to the people of the Mlembe Nation, as you move forward in this new arrangement, always remember that politics is a game where you always look for your brother's back. Where you look behind, because in politics, even a friend could deliver something in your back. People could also use that opportunity to play around with the region. Speak with one voice. Speak with one voice. Remember now, the people of Western are looking up to you. But again, do not sleep. Do not think because now you are united, you can go to bed and sleep. I would advise you, as I normally advise people, if your intention is to deliver Western to William Ruto, remember Raila Odinga is not a man you snatch his wife, his girl, just like that. You can't get Raila with a girl, snatch him, and he puts his hands up and say, go with her. Getting Western from Raila is no child's game. And therefore, even as William Ruto celebrates your entry into his camp, let him be under no illusion that he's captured Western province. The Mlembe Nation has organic supporters if not fanatical supporters of Raila Odinga.